Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast. Welcome back to the Ninja Selling Podcast. Matt and Garrett are back with you again. We're excited to be here with you as always. And with that being said, if you want to learn more about what we're talking about, go to ninjaselling.com. You can learn about all the background of the systems of Ninja. You can also find local events that might be coming up around you or ones that you might get to travel to and go meet people from all over the United States. The installations are incredible. I highly recommend them. If you're looking for coaching, you want to find out more about that and finding a ninja that's specialized that will work with you and your business and your thoughts and your ideas and your creative side to help you build a business that you want to build. We're here to help you. Go check out ninjacoaching.com. You can find that also in the Ninja Selling site under coaching. And if you want to find some like-minded people like yourself to listen to the podcast, love Ninja, go to the Ninja Selling podcast community in Facebook. You will find us all there, running right around 13,000 people. And love to have you. Love to have your thoughts, energy. And with that being said, Matt, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Garrett. Good morning. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You been practicing your oboe?
Oboe, maboe. Is that what it sounds like?
I have to look one up. I couldn't even tell you what it All right. No, man, excited to be on the call with you today. You brought this topic up.
Yes.
Which I think is really, really, really important, which is I think that, when we look at a lot of ninjas that come to us and they are looking for, okay, how do I do all of this? How do I make all this happen? And my number one answer, Matt, is you're making this so much more complicated than it needs to be. Like you are layering things in and adding things on. And it's like the process we use the idea of baking a cake. It's like trying to think out every step of baking a cake and then just baking the cake step by step. And all of a sudden you're like, that was it? We got a cake?
Oh,
cool. Like, let's do this.
Wow.
Where it's like the overthinking of the cake before you ever have made it will make you never even want to attempt making the cake. And I think this is where people get stuck in this thing before they've ever done it. They've never been able to get into it. They start overthinking it so much that they turn into some monster that it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
And so, Matt, I love this topic. Appreciate you bringing this. And so what made you want to go down this route today?
Well, I was talking with a lot of people. I guess that's usual. So
that's kind of where we're at every day.
Kind of what I do. So that's really no surprise. Don't know why I used that to intro it. But as I was talking to my people over the past couple of weeks, I've noticed a common theme of like, I got to do all of these things. There's all of these things. And I think a lot of it has to do with agents watching other agents. I need to do video. I need to do this. Also, brokerages are encouraging their agents, let's do more of this. Let's get out there and do this and attend this and show up on these platforms. And that's all great. I got no problem with that. In fact, I think it's fantastic. However, that stuff then starts to overwhelm and crowd out the Ninja 9. And I was having these conversations like, guys, let's make it really, really simple. There's only a handful of things that you really need to be focused on in order to make sure that you are generating business, which is do your Ninja 9 and have auto flow. Do the Ninja 9 and have auto flow. 3 touches a month. That's it. If you do those things,
But Matt,
you're gonna be great.
But Matt, I've got all these other things. I've got leads that I got to be calling that I pay for leads and I got to be calling this and I got expired listings.
I gotta get my Instagram posts.
Expired listings are coming back around. I got to be doing those and I got to be.
Well, but those can fit into the Ninja 9 in some way. But yeah, it's like, I got to do this. And then I got to make my Instagram post and my Facebook post and hop into my Facebook communities and do all these things, which again, great stuff. But you're making it way too complicated. And it's like, if we're not doing these other things first, then why are we doing the other stuff? Because you don't have a way of building the relationships that come from the other stuff.
Well, so Matt, we're also, you and I, a little bit broken.
Oh,
would you agree?
Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean, this isn't therapy, but I'm just putting it out.
You mean, okay. We're talking about like real estate. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
The reason that I'm going to say we're a little bit broken is that we get to work with people every single day that the really successful ones, the ones that we sit around and be like, you're not going to believe the results that so-and-so just put on the board. or what they just created in their business. None of us as coaches, who are all broken also, come around together and be like, so-and-so's got this great marketing campaign that they've been doing, this special thing they've been doing that's generating all this business. None of us ever come together and go, so-and-so's asking this certain question when they're doing expired listing calls right now, and it's just generating so much business for them. None of you come together as a group. We do this every 2 weeks. All of us come together, 30 coaches. None of us get together and go, oh my gosh, you're never going to believe it. So-and-so is paying for this certain lead generation thing, and it's pumping it. The closing rate on them is really high, like conversion ratio higher than anyone we've ever seen. It never comes up. It is never a point of conversation. It never is even put on the table. What is put on the table is so-and-so who's been consistent with this, consistent with that, consistent with this piece, and it's all this piece called the Ninja 9. They're doing this stuff. All of a sudden, those are the ones that I have coaches call me, and they're like, Garrett, will you call and have a celebratory phone call with this person? We need to celebrate what they've accomplished, where they're at, the goal that they've achieved. Hey, before I give them a phone call, tell me about their business. And the coach is like, rah, this is it. They market to this many people. They're doing their Ninja 9 completely every single week. They've got, maybe an event that they might do on the side over here, but it's all about building flow, making more phone calls, sending out handwritten notes, like all these things. When it all comes together, it's like, oh my gosh, let's keep this simple, because the ones that are hitting it out of the park are not making it difficult.
Yeah. Well, and that gets into, well, how do I even fit in all the Ninja 9, right? And Gretchen Adams, who's one of our master coaches and fantastic at our guide camp that we had recently, said like the Ninja 9 is really just one thing.
But I've never seen Peter Parnay get so excited in my life. Anybody who knows Peter?
He loved it. He like marched to the front of the room, was on the drawing board. It was great.
Literally like stormed to the front of the room, grabbed the marker. He was supposed to be doing something else. And he's like, we can't let this go. And turned to Gretchen and just was like, let me make sure we have this correct. And just started drawing on this giant piece of paper in the front row. It was golden. So Matt, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. It was golden, and it made a lot of sense, because essentially, if you look at all the Ninja 9, it all centers around success habit number 8, which is have 50 live forward conversations every week, right? Or 50 live interviews, as we would call them. And it's like, okay, well, how does all those things feed into it? It's like, well, if we just look at success habit number 9, update your database weekly. If we do that, we're probably going to have some people to talk to. Now, if we go from the top, if we start our day with gratitude, we're probably going to be in a really good state of energy, and we're going to want to talk to some people, particularly if we're grateful for the people around us. If we show up and stay on our agenda, we're going to talk to people because we're going to follow our process and do the things that are on our calendar. I'm going to skip over number 3 and come back to that one. If we focus on our hot list and our warm list, 4 and 5, we're going to have some people to talk to because we're focused on those people. If we do our customer service calls, number 6, we're talking to people. If we do our real estate reviews, we're talking to people. And if we talk to all those people, we're going to have some notes to write too, which brings us right back to number 3. So it's all one thing, right? If you do think of it that way, it actually, I think, breaks down this overwhelm of, gosh, there's so much to the Ninja 9. It's like, let's just feed all this stuff into each other. And that's one thing, right? And now I get it. We're like, well, but what if I have a crazy day? That's one day. Okay. We're looking for, how do we set ourselves up for success consistently? And if we can master that element, then we can go do all the fun stuff. We can do the fancy TikTok dances and all the other stuff that you want to do once we're doing that.
Oh, I'm good at those. I'm
sure you are.
I don't know if anybody's seen my dance. There's a dance roaming around out there, just so you know. If you can find it, I encourage you to try to find the dance. But okay, well, we'll move that along. I think with the actual Ninja 9 being the kind of making it one thing too, I have found that it flows both directions, just like you described it, Matt. Is like, if you're doing this, it creates like you're talking to people. If you're doing this, you're talking to people. If you're doing this, you're talking to people. On the other side of that too, is like, if you want to focus on just talking to people, like I have coaching clients that come to me all the time. They're like, Garrett, I'm struggling with doing this. I'm struggling with doing this. I'm having a hard time doing this. And it 9 times out of 10, it comes down to you're not talking to enough people.
Yeah.
Like if you just talk to enough people, you will find people to do real estate reviews with. I'm just telling you how it works, because somebody out there is going to be like, so what's going on in the marketplace right now? What's happening over here? It's like, oh, that's a real estate review. If you're out there talking to enough people and really listening to them, well, there's a note to write. There's another note to write. Oh, there's another note to write. Oh, they're going through a tough time right now. There's another really good handwritten note to write. I want to celebrate with them. There's another handwritten note. As you're really talking to enough people, you're going to find that person that you're like, I want to know more about their trip to Mexico. Let's get together for coffee. Let's go have lunch. I want to hear more about your kids' journey off to college and what that's been like for them and how that works. You just keep building off of this stuff. So I find just in the way that you can go around the outside and it works its way in, you can also start with that inside piece and it just kind of creates everything all around it.
For sure.
But I love Gretchen's way of looking at this is like, it's one thing. Stop turning into 9 different things. It is the Ninja 9, but the Ninja 9 is one thing.
Yeah.
It's all these pieces and they all will work in harmony together. And they create crazy results when done with consistency. It's that, we call it the flywheel. Like once you get the momentum behind this thing and it just keeps going, it just starts to just create its own energy. Because the more people you're doing real estate reviews for, the more notes you're writing, the more people are reaching back out to you, the more communication you're having, it just starts to build on itself where then it turns into this wild machine. And then you get miracles.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, that's why we call 50 live interviews the 1-point business plan, right? But there's one other thing too, Garrett. There is another element to this that we also need to add in.
Of course, there's one other thing. It wasn't just the Ninja 9. Of course, this is the catch.
This is the catch, which is really easy as well, because all of these other fancy things that we like to do, which, by the way, I love video. For those of you who know me, you know I like video. Autoflow, right? A lot of times people are like, I got to do all these things so I can do the marketing and get all these things out there so that, new business comes in. And so repeat business comes in and referral business comes in. It's like, well, what's your autoflow look like? Which I would define autoflow. And we've done many podcasts on this, but it's basically marketing high value to people who know you, making sure that people who know you also know that you're in real estate, right? And we prescribe 3 touches a month. That's it. 3 touches a month, which is something that you could automate through an assistant or just through bulk planning at the beginning of the year or through a service. But you can, if you're doing that, that's your foundation. All the people that know you are getting this information. It's of value. It is real estate related. Art and science mixing it up. So some of the stuff might be a little bit more fun and maybe not directly tied to real estate, but for the most part, science, real estate related information. You do that. Layer your Ninja 9 right on top of that. So the autoflow should be, I don't want to say passive, but you could set it up in a way where you don't really have to be actively involved in that every single week.
No.
You just have to make sure your database is up to date, which you're doing every single week with your Ninja 9.
Well, and the trick to the autoflow is in why it is so incredibly important, Matt, and I'm happy that you brought it up, that it needs to be a piece of all of this, is that one of the things that people love about Ninja is that whole philosophy of we don't talk about business unless the client brings it up first, which if you never have any way that the value of what you do comes up, if it's never brought to the game at all, you can end up with a whole lot of friends. And friends are great. We love friends. Ninja is amazing at creating friends. I've mentioned on the podcast before, I have a whole part of it that I have written out that is for the freshmen entering college and how to create a database and make friends and have a group that you all are, an influence of each other. It works amazing in that way. Interesting though, is like, if you don't have that piece that allows people to go, oh, and their specialty, their deep knowledge revolves around real estate or whatever business you might be in. If you're listening to this and you're an insurance agent, this is where they go, oh, they're not a real estate agent. They're an insurance agent. That's cool. Or they own a flower shop. I didn't realize you owned a flower shop. Like I thought you were a teacher. You're not a teacher. You do this. Like this is the way that we have people go, this is the service that they provide. This is the value they bring. This is how they can be of service to me when I need their help, or if I know anybody that needs their help. Because gosh darn it, they are such a nice, good person in my world that once they figure out what you do for a living, it's like, well, that's a no-brainer. If we need help with real estate, use Mappinelli. If we need flowers, use Mappinelli. You have a flower shop, by the way, man. I'm Matt.
Sweet. I'm excited for that. Coming soon.
If we want to go get donuts, if we want to go get donuts with the family on,
come to Mappinelli. Yeah.
In the morning, and we want to go run down. Where do we go? Let's go to Matt's shop. And why would we want to choose Matt's shop? Are the best donuts? They're good.
Hey.
But gosh darn it, Matt is so darn nice, it makes up for it.
Got this great storefront, flowers, donuts, and real estate. Everything that you need. I mean, dude,
that's a business model. We got to come up with a name around it. Donuts, flowers, and homes. It seems like something you find on The Simpsons.
Yeah, it does. It does sound like that.
All right, keep going.
Man, but that's what it is, right? If people have that foundation, it's funny you brought up the insurance agent, because I had a client tell me yesterday, she's like, I saw the insurance agent who sends me postcards out the other day, and like I was a little like starstruck. Like I didn't know if like I should say hi because I feel like I know him, but like he doesn't know me. So it's like, that's very interesting. Now that was obviously not her insurance agent who was mailing to her, but what if her insurance agent was mailing to her? She would easily go up to that person and say, hey, right? Like, because a lot of times too, with those businesses, you may not ever meet that person in person. Like my insurance broker, I've never met her in person. But if I saw her, like I would totally say hi, right?
Let's think of it this way. So, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I got excited. You probably had a good point.
No, I don't think I did.
All right. Maybe you didn't. Okay, we're going to move on. So my other thought with this, Matt, how many people do you think you have in your database right now that have a service or a value that they could be offering to you, but you don't even know that they offer it?
Oh, man. So many. I can't even put a number on it because I don't know.
I mean, I'm starting to think about, I have some people that I know what they do for a living, and I'm like, that has no useful purpose to me at all. Like, it's not like they're building their own business, but I do know a lot of people out there that have a embroidery business they run on the side. And the only reason I know that is because my kids went to school with them, and I know they'd run that out of their garage. They do small projects all over town for little businesses. They do little kind of one-off runs of hats and shirts and, bags and things like that with people's logos on them. I never get anything from them. Is that something that they could easily send out a postcard to me periodically that's like, hey, here's like some new things that we're putting together for the fall season? It might be a once a quarter thing, because by the way, they have no competition with me in town. I don't need a postcard from them every single week or every single month.
Well, and maybe they do to their clients, right? Maybe they do to people they've done business with, which would be good.
And maybe they do.
Probably don't.
I've done business with them. I don't get it.
Oh, well, then they don't. Then they don't. I mean, and that's where people can start, though. A lot of people are like, oh, but like, because they get into this idea of, well, now I got to go find new people. It's like, no, just start with the people you've done business with. Who have you sold homes to? Start there. Make sure they are on auto flow. Let's start. Then you can build out to your bigger sphere. If you're doing the Ninja 9, that's going to grow real fast. It's going to grow a lot faster than you think. And when I say real fast, there's patience involved with this, because people today are real fast. Like, you mean I can get same day Amazon delivery? This is freaking cool. Not talking like that fast, but if you think about how long you've been trying to build this thing out, if you're sitting there like, man, I've been at this for a year, 2 years, and like it's slow. It's like, well, if you're doing these things and it takes a year and all of a sudden you're at this like really nice pace of hitting my Ninja 9, my auto flow is going to a good number of people. Maybe it's 100 people in my sphere at the moment. Wow, that's going to start to produce some really great results for you.
Yeah. And it's really important to Matt. I'm happy you brought it up as a piece of the Ninja 9. And, there are services out there that you can just sign up for and they will do your auto flow for you.
For sure.
I find that there are other areas that you can easily, have it created for you. And I find that, for a lot of people, if you're generating enough business, I've got a lot of agents that do a lot of just listeds and just solds. Of course, you got to put a lot of information on it. Don't just be call me if you want the data on this house. Don't do that to people. But give all the information. And if you've got enough business going through, I know a lot of people that just generate those things out.
Yeah.
And then they might sprinkle in like something that's happening in the community or things that they can, help people experience a better life in their place that they've decided to call home. You don't need to make it super complicated, but it all works together.
And we have podcasts on autoflow and all that stuff and postcards and doing emails, and you can find out, what other people are doing in our Facebook group. But I want to come back to the Ninja 9, Garrett, to pull all this together, because that's the core. If you're not doing the autoflow is a nice foundation of making sure the people who know you know what you do, and that you're giving them value in a easy way that's not intrusive or salesy. The Ninja 9 is where you build the relationships, where you are making sure that the relationships that you have get stronger, where you are building new relationships that then can go on to your autoflow. And that's this type of stuff. Whereas if we're doing that consistently, it builds into your lifestyle in a way that allows you to increase your income per hour, which is the whole point of Ninja, right? And I know people are like, oh, yes, but we know that. I know you know that. And the reason why we're talking about it is because most of you aren't doing it. You're not doing it because of all of these other things that are pulling you away. And so what I would highly encourage people to do is all of those other things that seem to be prioritized on the calendar, don't prioritize those things over your Ninja 9, because the Ninja 9, as we've said on many episodes, doesn't take a whole lot of time to set up. Because the beauty of the Ninja 9, you are in control of it for the most part. I mean, I know with the live interviews, you kind of need to talk to somebody, but you are in control of how you do your outreach and how you do your engagement. So the Ninja 5, that's going to take you 20, 30 minutes to knock that out. 2 real estate reviews once a week. Say it takes 30, 40 minutes to prepare them and then make the call. Okay, so it's going to take longer to go sit with somebody. Customer service calls, what, Garrett, 2 hours a week to do those things? Update your database, that's 1 hour.
Yeah.
Then you fill in the time with the 50 live interviews, which are going to come about through the course of doing all of that other stuff that we just talked about.
Well, and I find, again, a lot of the stuff accidentally starts to fall into place as you start kind of putting the focus into this. It's like it just, all of a sudden, things just start lining up. And at the end of the week, you're like, I talked to 70 people. Interesting thing also, Matt. And I think it's interesting, like with the 50 people, when you're doing all this stuff around the outside and you're taking care of all these things and all these people and working in all these different aspects of your business, sometimes we get into the whole thing of like, okay, that's one person. Okay, now I'm at 2. Now I'm at 3. Now I'm at 4. Now I'm at 5. Oh my gosh, it's Monday. I've got so far to go to get to 50. And how am I going to fit all this in throughout this time? What I find is if you're just doing the stuff, you're out there, you're running around, being social, taking care of your world, instead of making it a tally mark where every single person you talk to, it's like, oh, there's one more. Oh, there's one more. Just start being engaged with people. Because what you'll find is that when you're not counting, you're probably going to be out there talking to more people, and you're probably going to have more meaningful relationships with people rather than just making them a check mark on your list of like, got one more. Okay, I'm going to go to this person now. Good, got one more. It's like, no, I'm meaningful now. You'll probably find you actually talk to more people when you're just focusing on meaningful relationships and connecting with people.
Yeah. And that's a great point. Like, don't overwhelm yourself with like, I got to get to 50. Like, if that you're one of those people who's worried about that, just picture success habit number 8 right now saying live interviews. Have live interviews throughout the week, wherever you can, right? Just focus on it saying that, and everything's going to feed into each other still.
Yep.
And it's going to compound in a good way. Like, because what I find, Garrett, is when people get overwhelmed with other things, they don't do live interviews. They have conversations, but they don't ask forward questions, right? Or they just stop notes. Like, oh, I'm just not going to write notes. I don't have time to write notes. Like, what? I mean, one note. Like, keep these things in your world at some level. Or, oh yeah, I haven't had time to do my gratitudes.
But Matt, here's the
come on.
Here's the stupidest thing. Anybody who says I didn't have time to write notes,
I chose not to write notes.
Well, what did you make time for last week? Like, let's start there. Was it all stuff that's growing you and making you better? Or was there other stuff that you put in there that, isn't taking you in the direction that you want to go? I've been kind of on a kick lately where I've been over analyzing like every minute I get in the day and asking myself, is this taking me to a better person that I want to be, or is it taking me away from it? And it's really interesting when you have that dialogue with yourself all day long to be like, what am I choosing to do every single day? If your business isn't growing and you got all these reasons about why you didn't have time to do one of these systems, which is one, how important it is to you. Because at the end of the day, these systems, again, as we've talked about, Matt, they're not over the top. Writing 2 handwritten notes a day, oh, come on. Trying to find 2 people a week to go have lunch with, you're going to eat lunch no matter what. We all do it. Otherwise, you wither away.
Yes, you got it. Or breakfast or coffees. But even if you're busy, okay, make 1 phone call today. Or just look at your days. All of you talk to people every single day. I mean, you can't do this business without talking to people. So have that Ford conversation when you talk to somebody. Well, I'm talking to a lender. I'm not talking to a prospect. No, you're talking to somebody who is in your world. You're talking to somebody in your sphere. Have a Ford conversation with that lender.
The crazy thing, Matt, is in this industry is that you can technically be a real estate agent and not talk to anybody.
Well, yeah, I guess you could.
You can.
You wouldn't do any business.
But if you want to be a successful person in this industry, you're going to need to go out and talk to people and be connected with people and be in people's worlds. It's part of the business that we're in. So I think, Matt, as just kind of wrap this up, I think the opportunities are there in front of you. It's very easy in our world to kind of fabricate excuses. We've got plenty of things that we can look around and say, but so-and-so got my attention. This took my attention. Most of them are a lot of just interesting distractions that we fabricated in our world. Some of us have real life stuff going on that may stop us, but it's not long term. That's not a forever thing. That is this week got away from me. Like my father-in-law's got some health issues right now. Last week got away from me because we were taking care of certain things and driving to doctor's appointments and whatnot and trying to get, but even around that, if I look at all the moments I had around that, what was my choice? Did I decide to go on TikTok? Did I decide to go on Facebook? Did I decide to play a game on my phone? Did I decide to watch Family Feud? I don't know. What did we choose to do instead of maybe sitting down and writing some notes or picking up a phone and having some meaningful conversations, or maybe figuring out who is really deserving of a real estate review right now? And we want to give them some really good information about their business, their home, and where they stand. I don't know. I think we make some interesting choices every single day, Matt.
We do. And we're all guilty of it, myself included too. And if you have a crazy day or a crazy week, those things happen too. And the reason why we're hammering on this so much is because overall consistency is what we're looking for. And if you have something one day or 1 week that throws you off, great. Those things happen, right? There are challenges that come along with family, and there's also vacations that happen where you're not going to work and you shouldn't work. Those things happen. But if every day of your working life is like that, something needs to be reevaluated. And so I hope that everybody looks at this and says, oh, great, I need to go and evaluate and look at my business from an outside view and say, why am I not getting my Ninja 9 in? What is holding me back? Is it a choice? Is it the way I'm prioritizing things that maybe shouldn't be prioritized and are overwhelming me? And how can I start to move myself in that direction of making sure I'm doing these things because I believe in the system and I know it's going to work for me? And that's what I hope that everybody gets out of this today, Garrett.
I love it, man. I think it's a good topic.
There it is.
I appreciate you bringing it up and going down this route because, again, it can be made very complicated very quick.
It can. Well, thank you. And thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, we love you guys so much. If you're not a part of our Facebook group, head over to Facebook, search for the Ninja Selling Podcast, answer a few questions, and pop in there and say hello, network with people. One thing will say with that, don't just post hi, I am in Charleston, South Carolina and open to your business. Send me your leads. Don't do that, please.
Who would ever do that, Matt?
Who would? Realtors? But if you want to share a picture of where you listen to the podcast, Garrett's put that out there before, and that is a lot of fun to see where people listen to the podcast. But also ask questions. If you got questions, ask them, answer questions, comment on what other people have to say. And if you want to learn more about Ninja Selling, find installations, learn about coaching or mastery, head over to ninjaselling.com. Appreciate you guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you, everyone. If you enjoyed today's episode and would like more, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com.
There you will also find links for more information about ninja selling and coaching. Have an incredible day.